Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to go through designing and sketching a fashion collection. I'll be talking about all the different things you need to keep in mind when you're doing this, how to go from inspiration to motifs and pull everything together in different styles for different types of clothing and end up with a cohesive collection, with some practical considerations in mind too. So let's take a look. You can see kind of my notes here, kind of looking at like, do you want cocktail dresses, ball gowns, suits, kind of day wear, and kind of like an even mixture of the above, looking through kind of some general concept ideas of what kind of things I want to be in this collection. And I've made a start already, so you can see there's a couple sketches that have already begun, but for the most part I'm going to be starting from scratch and just going through and designing, kind of showing you how to put a cohesive collection together that includes kind of all the different parts. So we'll take a look at that. I also sketched out kind of some motifs that I'd like to include, so things like some big oversized watercolor flowers, more floral motifs, some kind of non-floral plant motifs, and then kind of a gradient art spot, kind of a paint look is something I'd like to put on some of the skirts and dresses. And then kind of some quick sketches of the pieces that I'd like to include. So things like kind of full skirts, pencil skirts, which are my favorite. Some different kind of top designs that I'm going to be including, and you'll see come up in the complete collection looks that we're going to be sketching out. So to start with, the designer chooses a theme for the brand. Probably already have in mind what type of clothing is of interest, what styles and what brands are inspiring, and who the target customer is. Now, a theme is needed for the collection. First of all, when is it going to release? Summer or winter? This will guide the types of garments and the themes that are appropriate. You want to think about the current trends, popular colors, what's coming up, what's on its way out, what's new, and what's already tired. What are you inspired by? What's big in the current culture? What movies and TV are popular or about to release? What historical eras and fashions are being seen or do you want to see? What do you find yourself drawn to in street fashion or on runways? Are there clothes that you keep sketching or making for yourself or seeing on others that you'd wish you had? What have you seen on other merchandise, packaging, branding, or products? What do you see on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc.? Pay attention to other companies' ads directed at the same target market. Large companies spend a lot of money to ensure that they're on trend, so following those can be a good idea of where the culture is headed. What are celebrities and other influential people wearing? Internet influencers, high-profile business people, politicians, public figures. All of these are going to help influence the pop culture. What's trending on the current art scene? Ideas filter down from art to haute couture and then to the rest of fashion. What type of garments inspire you? Gowns, avant-garde, street fashion, red carpet, career wear, art pieces. Are these the same type of garments you want to create, or do you want to reinterpret them for different markets and different garments? What types of fabrics and trims catch your eye? What details and accessories? What have you seen that's new or used in a new way? Sometimes people use buttons or zippers or cuffs or collars in a different way. What story do you want to tell with your collection? What story arcs can you weave through the different pieces to have an arc? What themes will you introduce? How do these arcs and themes tie together and flow? What market is your target customer in? Do they want something trendy or something classic? Are you doing something for a specific subculture? And what age range? 15-year-olds dress differently than 35-year-olds who dress differently than 55-year-olds. The pieces should be designed in order for a specific type of style so that it will actually attract someone. If you try to please everyone, you end up with something that no one wants to wear. What geographical culture are you looking for? What type of weather? Is this going to be released in summer in the northern hemisphere? It's going to be winter in the southern hemisphere. Something to keep in mind. What price range? This affects what styles are appropriate, what fabrics are reasonable,
what level of detail and quality you should include. You've got budget, which is mass market, also known as juniors. These are trendy and disposable pieces. You've got moderate ranges. This is going to be around $300 to $500. Contemporary and better is going to be up to $800 to $1,000. Bridge lines, these are typically diffusion lines. You often see this when a designer puts out a lower priced line to go along with their designer ready-to-wear. Next up is the designer ready-to-wear, the prêt-à-porter, the $1,000 plus range. And right on the top, of course, the haute couture, $10,000 and up range. Now, once you have an idea of what you're looking for, you can gather visual representations all together to curate the concept as a whole. Pinterest is great for this. You can also do it manually, magazine pictures, printouts, put it into a physical board. If you don't already have a color theme in mind, this is where you should develop one. You can pick images of things that feel inspiring. Look for colors that stand out, clothing, lifestyles, patterns, trends, seasonal images, all things that come together to form an idea of what your collection represents. If there's specific pieces or aspects of garments that you see that you know you want to include, this would be a great way to put that together. A color theme should now be becoming clear. Check for recently trending colors. What did you see in the last few years? What was on the most recent runways? Pantone is a great resource. What have you seen on the streets, in other products and advertising? What have you seen too much of in other products and advertising? Use a resource like coolers.co to make your choices. Help kind of arrange different color themes together and see what works nicely, what's overpowering, what blends well together. Don't get stuck on specific Pantone codes or hex codes at this stage. You've still got to find fabric. Now for pricing. This gets tricky. The conventional wisdom is to pick your fabrics before making your designs. But to pick your fabrics, you have to know your budget. And to know your budget, you have to know how much fabric you'll need, which means you have to have a design. Bit of a catch-22, right? Obviously, experienced designers understand what types and prices of fabric are appropriate for what type of line. And just as importantly, what prices are appropriate for what types of fabrics. Consider if there's a specific price point you want to sell at. You should at least have a range at this stage. If you can be flexible with your fabric choices, it will serve you well. Figure out what types of fabric you'll need, the materials, the weave, the fiber, the weight, prints, solids, etc., and research what the typical price range is. Create a budget based on mid-range estimates and a reasonable approximation for how much fabric you'll need for a single garment. You can work out a proto-cost sheet including the fabrics, trims, tags, labor, and shipping. If you don't know how to estimate these, that's okay. Just start the sheet so that you know what you're getting into. We'll look at this in more detail in the future. You can expect, as a general rule, to multiply by 2.2 to get to the wholesale price, and 2.2 again to get to the retail price. If you're sure that you're never going to sell wholesale, and you'll always be selling yourself on your own website, and you want to keep the price low, you can lower that second multiple. But be careful, because no wholesaler will ever want to buy something if they can't make the right profit. And if in the future someone does want to pick up your line, you'll have trouble if you wish you could have gone for it, but they can't keep the price and your price online isn't going to work for them. Also, be careful lowering it too much, as this is where your advertising budget is coming from, even if you are selling it yourself. You're going to want to put most of that 2.2 margin into marketing, not profit, unless you already have a waiting audience, which can be pretty unlikely for most startups. There's a reason most clothing lines go out of business and don't actually turn a profit. All of that money goes back into getting people aware of the brand. Now that you have some idea of what you need, pick out a few fabrics to get sample yardage of. This will be just enough fabric to make your samples and is bought from a supplier with the intention to purchase at least their minimum order if it works out for you. Choose your specific colors and fabrics. Make sure you have the right types of fabric for the season and the market you're designing for. Try to choose fabrics that will be versatile for multiple pieces. If you have to buy a fabric for only one garment, that's not very useful. What if that garment doesn't sell? Now you're kind of wasting it. Look for fabric that comes in multiple appropriate colors for your needs so that you can offer the same piece in different options without having to worry about different fits, different stretches, or different wear instructions. And don't forget the realities of the market. It's all well and good to say that you want the best of everything, the finest silk and hand beating, organic, ethically produced, made in your country, etc. But if you end up with a design that's going to cost $10,000, it's probably not ever going to get made or sold. Design! Woohoo! You got your fabrics, either in swatches or sample yardage. It's finally time to start designing. Now you get to decide the details. How many pieces? What types of garments? Dresses, skirts, pants, sweaters, t-shirts, knits, athletic wear, jeans, coats, etc. How many types of each piece? If this is your first collection for production, start small. 5 to 10 pieces is fine. If you're doing pre-sales or wholesale orders, you can design more and then only produce what actually sells, i.e. design 20 pieces, but maybe only the top 5 or 10 that actually sell will get made. Remember to account for different colorways as well. In terms of practicality, how will the items be worn? Are they simply for a conceptual collection, and they only need to show creativity going down a runway or on a fashion shoot? Remember, a lot of high-end and couture collections, this is kind of the point. They're really advertisements just to sell perfume or to get a designer a job. Are your pieces for daily wear, for workwear, special occasions? This all affects your design decisions and affects how the pieces are going to be worn, how long they're going to be worn, and how much they have to endure. How will your collection be sold? Some items, fabrics, and styles are easier to sell in stores versus online. Remember to use your fabrics in multiple pieces. Not only will this tie your collection together, it will be advantageous for you in production. Ensure the pieces mix and match together. You want to make sure you don't have any piece that stands too different from the rest. Ideally, every piece will go with multiple other items in the collection so that when someone sees something they want to buy the whole set. Make sure you're not too all over. If you mix yoga pants and evening gowns, your audience is going to be confused. If you're interested in adding something avant-garde, make sure to ask around. You never know who might be able to offer you a few hours in their workshop as a friend of a friend. And if the collection is conceptual, then go wild. Try out some new techniques. Do things that's not usually used in clothing. Make it fun and interesting. Always remember that your pattern has to be feasible in the real world. If you haven't done much pattern drafting, it might be a good idea to work off bases from existing garments to ensure you don't end up with some MC Escher problems. Once you've done a decent amount of pattern drafting, you'll know intuitively whether a design is going to be possible. Consider how these are going to be produced. How long will it take to sew? Are you using a factory or are you working by yourself with a small team? What's the budget for labor? If the pieces are too time intensive or require too many problems to be fixed in production, your 2021 collection won't be finished till 2025. What else is appropriate for the collection? Accessories, shoes, purses, jewelry. What will look nice together, and will you need to source these yourself for photo shoots? If you need hats or specialty items made or found, don't forget to factor this into your timeline and costs, so make sure you have them at the right time for sales. In summary, there's a lot of things to consider in putting together a fashion line. A lot of artistic decisions are made, and lots of choices can be explored. The collection you see designed in this video is more of a theoretical one for me. I'm planning a much more streamlined collection for production in the near future. Some of these styles and silhouettes will definitely find their way into any collection I do, but the more extravagant gowns you see here will be reserved for made-to-measure orders instead of production. I hope you enjoyed the video.
So, what did you think? Did you like the collection? Would you wear it? Leave a comment with your favorite piece below. If you've drawn your own collection, leave a link and I'll go take a look. Hopefully you learned something, maybe have some ideas to start your own designs. Let me know, and as always, like and subscribe. Please check back next week, there'll be a new video. I look forward to seeing you guys then. Bye now.